Pull the string, pull the string!
Scoodly, wow, wow, wow.
High area backstage.
The human brain contains 100 billion neurons. Each neuron is as powerful as a large computer, and each neuron has around 10,000 connections with other neurons within our foreheads.
M. Suggested for mature audiences. Parental discretion advised.
All these factors must be considered as we plan for the survival of our homes, our families, and our nation in the nuclear age.
Hey everybody, I'm Jason Aldean. This is my band. This is
Danny Rader, Tully Kennedy, Kurt Allison.
Well, I usually don't have any good ideas. Nobody ever uses my ideas when I write songs. But yeah, I mean, it's you know, trying to find a good idea. First of all, songwriting is the main thing, and you know, then you just want to wrap an idea around it and try to make it believable in about 3.5 minutes. You know, that's kind of the idea. So I think sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, it's great for us because we've been working with Jason for since late '90s, and so it's more natural than it is a conscious effort to try to do something. What we do is what we do, and it's natural. So I guess we're lucky that someone likes it. You know. Kurt Allison.
Awesome. This is Kurt. No, it was like Tully said, for the most part, all of us have been playing together for quite a while, and as opposed to hand-picking a band and trying to make the chemistry work, it's very natural, and Jason's a great frontman. And, sometimes you notice when bands are playing and they haven't been together that long, it's the run into each other, and, it's like we always know where each other's going to be musically and just physically speaking on stage, our spot. So it's definitely become a very natural thing.
And I'm actually the newest guy to the mix. I've just been with Jason about a year now. And, unlike any other act that I've ever been on, obviously you come on the gig and these guys are so tight and so close, personally speaking, that, you're a bit of an outsider for a while, but it's, we've gelled and everything is so close. And so I've never, been as close to a group of guys as we are on the road, and that transfers to the stage. Like Kurt was saying, we know exactly where we're going, both musically and physically. We can just about read each other's minds at this point, and with Jason especially too. There's not even a conscious effort as to where's he going, what's going on next. It just kind of all seems to flow, and there's a good circle of energy, that kind of follows everything. So,
well done. I don't know if I had any advice for anybody who was looking to be a frontman of a band. I think it's one of the main things is just to be fearless. I mean, you're kind of the one that's out front, and don't be scared to say anything or do anything that people may look at you crazy for. But I think that's a big thing, and be confident in whatever you do. I mean, because you're kind of the one that's up there kind of running the show a little bit, and you got to make sure that whoever's watching you is focused on what's going on stage, because you can lose a crowd pretty quick if you don't keep their attention. So I think that's the main thing. Just go out, be confident, and be fearless in whatever you want to do and whatever you want to say, and make sure that you draw people in early on, in a show.
As a bass player, I think one of the hardest and most important lessons to learn that you never stop learning until you, I guess, get older is that to not draw too much attention to yourself on the bass. You want to,
yeah.
The
pot calling the kettle right there. I'm telling you.
Meaning, as playing wise, you don't want to, if you're overplaying and getting in the way of guitar players and not playing with the drummer, you're going to find yourself at home in your room rather than on stage somewhere. So it's a hard lesson to learn, but that's what I would say to any young player is to just be as solid and simple and pick your spots well.
No, that's actually really great advice, and it goes for any instrument. You know, sometimes as a guitar player, Danny and I both play guitar, and we both take leads, and we both, you know, have that responsibility. But even more so, you have to know how to play with everyone. I mean, especially with another guitar player. You know, I know most guys, when they come up, are used to filling all of that sound themselves. But it gets to be really interesting and probably even more rewarding when you can work with someone else. And Danny and I now are into this flow of where we feel like we can share and take each spot, you know, whenever it is our own. So it's a really great and wonderful thing to learn when you're up there playing with other guys and making music, as opposed to saying, listen to my chops. And that's a great foundation. Everybody needs to do it and have the practice and have the chops. But when you can put that into a band of 5 guys, 4 guys, 6 guys, whatever it is, it definitely becomes more rewarding.
Danny Rader.
Yeah, I would kind of continue that flow of statement to also go as far as to say that, you know, it is important to have great gear and great guitars, great pedals and all that, but like they said, it all starts with a song. You know, a good idea or a good hook, and if what you're doing individually on your instrument is not supporting the lyric or the song itself, then you're taking up too much space and you're in the way. You need to revisit your part or whatever, you know, because it's all about the song and what you're going to do. What you do on your instrument is either going to supplement that or it's going to take away. So you got to always be sure you're supporting the song, definitely.
I wanted to add one thing to that. I mean, I think one thing, just to kind of sum up what these guys are talking about, and I think is important, is, you know, when you're in a band or any kind of thing like that, I think, you know, a lot of times one of the things that ends up killing a lot of bands is egos. And I think, you know, one thing, egos need to be thrown out the window, you know, musically, not only just, you know, on stage, that kind of thing, but musically. I mean, you know, you have a job to do, and, you know, if you're the drummer, you do your thing. If you're a guitar player, you play, you know, the spots you get, you know, make them count, you know, then that's the time to show off. But, you know, I think the main thing is to have respect for everybody in the band, and like these guys were saying, work together, and I think that always comes off better than one person in the band or you know, 2 people in the band trying to compete against each other to show off their chops, as Kurt was saying. I think that's a big thing.
I'm sorry for acting that way. Didn't really mean to make you cry. Oh, baby, sometimes I wonder why. Does it always have to come down to you leaving before I'll say I love you? And why do I always use the words that could be best when I know how much it hurts you? Oh, baby, why do I do that to you?
The one song on the album, I guess, that would kind of best describe our sound, I guess, would be probably Hicktown, I would think. You know, it's kind of a raunchy song. It's got, you know, it's raunchy guitar licks and stuff in it that, you know, it's kind of different. It was the first song we put out, and I think that's been the one that's kind of defined our sound a little bit up to this point. Yeah, I mean, my early influences were you know, a lot of guys. I mean, I started playing acoustic guitar because, you know, I heard Hank Jr. and guys like that sit down and play acoustic guitar and sing their songs and you know, things like that. Alabama was a big one for me, and guys like that. And so that's, you know, that's one of the reasons I started playing acoustic guitar to begin with. And, you know, those were my influences.
For me, the reason I started to play bass was really U2 and the Joshua Tree record was the sound of the bass that was happening on that record would make you want to play bass. So that was it for me, you know.
My early influences are probably going to be a little bit earlier than the rest, but I'm definitely the elder statesman of the group. But man, I grew up listening to Van Halen and Hendrix and Page and Randy Rhoads and all of that. I mean, that, you know, you listen to that, and the music of the late '60s and early '70s is when the guitar was really revolutionized and the way the instrument was played. And hearing that, I mean, as a young adolescent, I mean, how could you not want to play guitar in front of chicks? Really? Come on, let's get serious.
And that puts it in perspective.
Yes. And that's why we're all here. No. Some of my early influences were, you know, everything from Jim Croce, acoustic stuff, to James Taylor kind of stuff, to, you know, your country or Jerry Reed kind of stuff, Chet Atkins early stuff, and then, of course, you know, a lot of the 90s country, Brent Mason, chicken picking kind of stuff. So all the above, you know, every genre of what's out there. So.
When I was growing up, I mean, country was, you know, I guess still really had a country sound to it. I mean, and but I actually think that some of that stuff started getting changed with, you know, in the 80s with Alabama and Hank Jr. and those kind of guys when they were coming out, you know. But I think every generation kind of has different influences. And, I mean, I grew up listening to Guns N' Roses and, you know, Bon Jovi and all that kind of stuff too, man. So I think, you know, but I also had a country music background. And I think, you know, with every generation of artists that come along, the sound kind of changes a little bit. And I think that's why, you know, you've seen the change from straight country to country with a little bit of a rock edge to it now. And, you know, I think you'll continue to see that. I mean, that always happens. If you go back and listen to country music in the 80s, it sounded nothing like country music in the 60s. So, you know, I just think it's the natural development of music and different influences that change the, you know, the sound of everything.
Yeah, I agree with Jason, and I also think that for us as a band and what we do on records and on the road is it's country music, but it's for me it's always been what makes country music. Country music is about the lyric and the story and the heartland, and whether there's a fiddle in it or steel or three guitars or no guitars, it's always been about the song as far as country goes. And we happen to add more guitars to it, you know, and that's where our influences come out, I guess. But it's still country music, you know. Me.
Yeah, it is still country music, and it is a story. And I think maybe what a little bit of the change or the progression with the generation thing has been is that a lot of these guys that are now recording country music grew up listening to maybe, say, some of the stuff I did back in the 70s, and now they've moved to Nashville. And the people that record country music have that rock influence or the background, say even if it's Leonard Skinner or Molly Hatchet, or, you know, that's basically what country music has turned into, kind of southern rock of the 70s. But still, you know, the great point is that country music does have a story, and that is the bottom line. But I do think that there's a little bit of a generation change with the players that are recording it.
Well, we've been here in San Jose, California.
We are in retreat.
destroy the humanoid. Intruder alert, intruder alert. Intruder must not escape.